Hello, and thank you for joining us today. I'm Michelle, and this is Breast Friends Cancer Support Network. I am a two-time 10-year survivor of breast cancer. I'm the patient programs assistant at Breast Friends of Oregon. And when I have time, you can find me on social media at I Never Liked Pink, and we rise by lifting each other. So today, I am welcoming a friend to the podcast who I've known for a couple years and one of his board members. So I've got Robison. Is that right? Robison or Robison?
Robison.
Robison, sorry, without the N. And he is the executive director of Kickin Cancer, an organization empowering individuals to thrive through their cancer journey with support, education for all types of cancer. So we're not just talking about breast cancer today, but so many of these themes run through the entire cancer journey, no matter what you're diagnosed with. And we also have Robin Paulissen, who is on the board of directors, and she runs the Pathways program at Kicking Cancer. And we're going to talk about all of this today, but really focusing on the emotional support that everyone needs when you're going through a cancer journey, the patient and also the family members. And Robin is going to focus on helping the youth of the families that have been affected by cancer, which is so important. So, Baron and Robin, thank you so much for being here today. I appreciate it.
Our privilege.
Thank you. And Baron, so let's start with you. Why now, as far as I know, you are not a cancer survivor. Why did you start Kicking Cancer?
It was November of 2015 that my sister was diagnosed with breast cancer, and hers did go metastatic. By late 2017, things were looking a lot better. The markers were all looking pretty good, and she came to visit me Christmas 2017, and we just had a wonderful visit. She lives in Arizona, so she flew home, and early 2018, I heard about this little adventure in Canby called the Warrior Dash, and it's a 3 mile trail run with some little obstacles along the way, and it sounded like fun. And so I called her and asked her if she wanted to come and do it with me, and she said yes. And at the time, I was working at Costco. I went to work, and a few of my friends said they wanted to join us. And all of a sudden, I had this little team of people, and we all wore these really bright pink shirts. Breast cancer is kind of a softer pink, and this is a big and bold in your face Pepto pink. And on the front of it, it says Kicking Cancer with this little donkey on it. And 42 people did that Warrior Dash with my sister.
That is a true show of support. And obviously I've met Brenda and she's amazing. And you can see how people do rally around those who are going through a cancer journey, but unfortunately not everyone has the support that Brenda does. And so you did that first warrior race and then you're now a 501c3. What propelled you to take it further than just the race?
That's a great question. I appreciate that. When she flew home, I said, what you're doing to stay alive, sis, is she just eats real food. She got this processed food out of her system. She's eating real food. She does moving every single day. And I said, why don't we start sharing that with people? And so we formed this little not for profit. And a friend of mine said, if you want to do what you're trying to do, you need a 501c3. So late 2018, we actually did everything we needed to do to become a 501c3, and then launched early 2019. So we are right now at our just at our 4-year mark. But it was really just a case of just supporting people in that journey with cancer, and then educating people on how to hopefully not get cancer. That was the very essence of what we started.
Well, and 4 years in, you're doing a great job. We're gonna talk about your Go Teams programs and, some other things that you do, but it's pretty amazing because a lot of organizations don't last, and yours just keeps growing and growing, which is fabulous. And listeners, if you're not watching this, Baron has his T-shirt on, and, he says it's a little donkey, but it's a donkey that's literally, like, got its hind legs up in the air and just so active in kicking the cancer away. So, it is definitely a fabulous logo.
Yeah, we say that we're kicking cancer in the donkey.
Can't make me laugh too much today. I have, the coughing sexy voice. So Robin, now, when and how did you meet Baron and get involved with Kicking Cancer?
Well, I survived cancer myself, and a friend of mine's friend was going through her cancer journey. And she was one of the go teams early on. I think one of the very first ones that Kickin Cancer had. And I went on the walk to support her friend. And that's where I met Baron. And I had just come off of my cancer journey a short time before this. So I really wanted to get involved in something. So that's where, during my journey, that's where Pathways was formed because of what I saw. And then Baron talks. And he and I just started talking and talking and talking. And that's where he realized I had this program. It's a needed program. So he invited me to join him on this journey with him. So, yeah. And now I'm president of the board.
We're gonna. You're president. Well, thank you, because that's and you work full time, like, and
yes.
And so this is not like your full time passion project. So you're giving of your time just because it is so important from what you witnessed on your own journey, and we will get into that a little bit later. So thank you also for being here. How far out are you from your treatment?
6 years in June.
Congratulations. Hitting the 5-year mark is so exciting. And then every day after that, you can just breathe a little bit easier.
Yes, it was amazing what I felt when I passed the 5-year mark. People don't really understand unless you go through that journey.
Mm-hmm.
And I went and celebrated with my 2 children.
Well, and that's what you said right there which is so important, why you find a community, because people do not understand unless they've been through the journey in all aspects of it. And that includes your children, your spouses, your partners, your friends. They, as much as they can want to support you in a wonderful way, it's hard because they haven't been in your shoes.
Yes, that is so true.
Well, thank you for being here today. And I'm going to jump back to Baron for a minute here. So Baron, I've mentioned the Go team. What is that? It's one of the programs that you have. What does that entail?
It's funny how the name for that started. When I was supporting my sister, we created a GoFundMe account, and I realized, no one's going to donate if they don't know about it. And so I just sent a message off to KGW there in Portland, and I said, hey, I have an idea for a human interest story. Interestingly enough, Tracy Berry was about ready to retire, and she decided to take that story herself, which still truly amazes me. But she came down here to Salem, and we did a little video. And right at the end, we're all on these elliptical machines, and she told everybody to say, "Go Team Brenda." Okay. And so we all did, and that was kind of the birth of that name. And as we moved along, I'm like, you know what? If other people will step up and support their friend the way I supported Brenda, then that's a go team. And so, like Robin talks about, her friend Cheryl had another friend named Rachel, and Rachel was dealing with bone cancer, and so it became Go Team Rachel. And then, of course, when I met your organization, Becky Olson announced that her breast cancer had come back, and so then it became Go Team Becky. But it's just a rally cry around the person who is in the fight.
And you do this on a quarterly basis, is that correct?
Yeah, we do one a quarter. Our goal is to try to do a little extra. So this quarter we actually have 2 going on, but it basically, the effort to put one together, we can successfully do one a quarter. 5 would be great to do 5 in a year, but yeah, basically quarterly.
And I was listening to one of your other podcasts the other day. Can you tell us where listeners can find that, your radio show, and then the podcast? Because you have great information there.
Well, if they want to listen to the radio show and they're anywhere in the area, they can go to 1220 AM, 104.3 FM, or you can go to kslm.news. It airs at 9 a.m. on Saturdays, and then on Monday it goes to a podcast. And we're on all the platforms. Spotify, Audible, every platform has it. It's called Kickin Cancer Cares. And there's usually a picture next to the title. And so you can actually scroll back to the first part of December. There's a picture of Becky Olson, because we actually did one. It was called Climb the Bank for Becky. And I told how I met you guys and, the whole climbing that bank. But Kickin Cancer Cares is the name of our podcast.
Perfect. Thank you. And I was listening to an episode from that just came out this week, and you were talking about a fundraiser that's coming up, I think on February 11th or 12th, maybe. And you're doing a karaoke challenge, which I think is magical, where um, you challenge people, and if they don't want to do it, they just up the donation. So it's like, oh, I'm going to donate $20. Oh, well, I don't want to. So the next person is 40, and so on and so on. And that's a fabulous way to raise money because if someone like challenged me, I'd be like, no, here's my money because I can't sing. So I really love that idea. How do you get submissions? How do you choose who is going to be helped each quarter?
That's a great question too. As the organization began to grow, and again, I'm just going to back up to Robin for a second. I met Robin in 2019. We were about 6 months old as an organization, and so the foundation was being formed. And Robin joined the board, and now she's the president of the board. But we realized that Go teams, they had to be some structure in how someone's named. The board said whatever's pulling at Baron's heartstrings isn't a good criteria for a Go team. So if you go to our website, which is kicking-cancer.org, with a hyphen between the two words, so kicking-cancer.org, and where it says support, there's actually a tab that says Go team. And if you would like to submit your friend's name, then you click that button and you tell what support they're looking for. You submit a little essay, basically. It's very similar to Make-A-Wish, where you submit a kid's name. It's a very similar concept. You would submit your friend's name, and then we would then contact you and begin discussing, is this reality? How can we make this happen for you? That's the basic process.
And so in the Go team's quarterly, session of support, you are obviously helping the patient. And I know Pathways helps youths, but do you have ways where you help the entire family or support system? How does that work? And in addition to say fundraisers or other things?
And again, when you go there, sometimes that need is financial, sometimes that need is emotional. I mean, no one's going to turn money away, so financial is always part of it. But again, I'll circle back to Beck Olson. In that case, I had already decided to do the stair climb in Portland. I was gonna do it anyway, and so I told Becky that I would do it in her honor, kind of motivated me to keep climbing the stair stepper. But I think in every case, whenever a Go team comes in, the entire family is part of it.
Good.
Because we say, look, we don't know your sphere of influence. We don't know who you know. And if this is going to be successful, you have to step up. Because guess what? When they step up to help their friend or their family member, when they step up, the whole family becomes part of the Go team. And that's why they're successful.
Got it. That makes so much sense. So as you mentioned, the financial support and emotional support, do you, in addition to the fundraisers or the activities, how, because obviously you're one man, you can't do everything. Do you have volunteers? And I know you do have a staff who does office and accounting and things like that, but do you have volunteers who work with each team every quarter?
Most of the volunteers are actually the family members themselves.
Okay.
Like, for example, the one that you just mentioned is a gal there in Albany, who I actually haven't met her yet. I haven't met Carrie Burwell yet. I work alongside her sister, Mandy Clark, who's basically the head of the committee to put it together. And then Mandy's mom, Mandy and Carrie's mom, is also part of that committee. So I'm just kind of leading the charge on how do we make this successful for you. We're just trying to bring our years of experience of doing this. But you know what? If they will not do it, if they will not step up and help, if they think that Kickin Cancer can do all the work, it's going to fall on its face because we don't know your sphere. You have to help. And so, to your question, the volunteers wind up being the family and the friends of the person involved in the fight.
Perfect. Now you've been doing this for 4 years now, and hopefully, every quarter you, well, let's say sponsor someone. What kind of feedback have you gotten from the people who've gone through your programs?
I think one of the biggest feedback was one we did, and we talk about trying to make it through COVID. We put together a fundraiser in July of 2020. So now we're into the COVID and protocols. But it was a gal in Lebanon who had already beat cervical cancer. She had muscular dystrophy and multiple sclerosis, and she was right at the verge of getting blood cancer. She was a medical mess, and um, we put together a great event. It was called Rallying for Rebecca, and her husband was a drummer in a band, and so a number of bands donated their time, and we had this full day of music. Well, when it
Nice.
was all said and done, she and we raised a little over $10,000 that day, which paid
It's
off her house.
amazing.
But she called me about a year afterwards, and because of how her body responded to that emotional support, the muscular dystrophy was going away, and she was actually on a treadmill for the first time in her life.
That's such an inspiration to hear that just reaching out to your organization and then you coordinating with the friends and the family and doing a full day of music, which is healing on so many ways. But myself and Robin, as you know, having support of the people around you because is so key because so many times people have no idea what to do. And cancer affects all of us in the household or, in the friend group. But people are like, oh, what can I do? What can I do? But having Kicking Cancer there to help put on these types of events and spearhead the families is so important because then the patient can see that the people, their loved ones are there to help them. And you giving them that guidance is so key. So I love that. So we are going to take a short break. So listeners, please stay with us. If you are interested in donating to Kicking Cancer, you can go to their website and or you can do so for Breast Friends. They're both wonderful organizations and every dollar helps at every organization. So obviously kickin-cancer.org. Is that right, Baron?
Correct. Yep.
Perfect. And breastfriends.org. And if anyone is interested in either of the programs, please go to our websites and check them out to see what the various organizations can do for you. Stay with us. We'll be back in a minute. Thanks for staying with us. I'm Michelle, and I'm here with Baron and Robin from kickincancer.org, located in Salem, Oregon. And we've been talking about the importance of having emotional support from an organization, but also your friends and family, and how important that is to a cancer journey. And excuse me, and I'm going to jump over here to Robin, who's the president of the board. And I know because I've done my research that the Pathways program, which is part of Kicking Cancer, came from Robin's own personal journey with breast cancer. So, Robin, can you tell us a little bit about that, please?
Oh, sure. In my journey, I didn't have a go team because we weren't around at that point in time. So I did this journey by myself and my girlfriend Cheryl. So we were the support, and I had the story with my, children. They were more of an adult at that time, but it affected them greatly, and they had no one to go to. And so I kind of made bargains with my son how he could help me, and if I lost my hair or something, because I didn't know what I was going through at that time,
Hmm.
he could pick my wig out. We'd do everything together. So I was my children's support as well as my own, and going through the treatments, going through the there is a program here in Salem that assists breast cancer survivors. And so I went through there, and what I was hearing were the stories of the children,
Okay.
right? There was just nobody there for them. And then I started doing my research, and alcohol, drugs, suicides run rampant among these children. They fall through the cracks because everyone's supporting the ill person. So I developed this program. We are a mentorship. We go in and just be there for the kids. We are their go-to person. So, the volunteers go in, Sometimes they're helping with homework. Sometimes let's go out, have an ice cream, and just talk. The kids will call up and say, hey, I'm upset. Something happened. I'm angry. They help them understand what they're going through. Not only at that time, what we do is help them create that they are vitally important people in this world, notwithstanding the journey that their parent or sibling is going through, that they can create their own world. So we help them see that they are important, and they're important to themselves as well as their family as well as society. And that's what we do. So we take them every 3 months. We do a networking where we bring all the kids together so they don't feel like they're alone in this journey. And we go do something fun.
And is it a same type of quarterly thing where you are there supported for the youth in a 3-month period, or is it longer than that?
It's for the whole journey of that
Okay.
family.
And
Yes.
do people sign up the same way someone would sign up for Go Team?
There is sign up application on the website. It's under the Pathways program. So you go to the website, look up the Pathways program, and the application is right there.
And what is the general age range of those that you have served in the past?
So the age range of the programs from like 7 to 18. I'm actually contemplating having a support group for adults later on once we're really rolling. COVID really put a hindrance on the program, so we're ramping back up this year.
Well, it definitely did, and COVID brought its own share of heartbreak and challenges. But one thing that it did allow was for all of us to get familiar with virtual meetings. And that has actually really helped us at Breast Friends, because not everyone who's in active treatment wants to go out to a meeting. So last night we had our virtual newly diagnosed active treatment group, and we had 8 women on there. And it was great because they don't have to get out of their bed. So one blessing from COVID.
Yes.
Now, you had mentioned no, I know you probably have different access to these numbers than the rest of us because you do work in government law enforcement. Is that correct?
I actually changed over. I left
Oh.
them as of the end of January, and am working in an organization that we go out. I'm a master practitioner of neuro-linguistic programming, trauma therapy, timeline therapy. So I work with people and those issues to help unblock so they can move on.
So you really have the chops to back up this program that you're doing, which
Yes.
is super impressive. But you had mentioned earlier that the numbers of children who are surrounded by cancer in their family for depression, alcohol, drugs, suicide, it really goes up. How did you, like, what kind of research or what did you really find there?
So I am a researcher, and I went into the CDC. I went into all of the medical professions, and there really wasn't a lot of information. So I went into um, ah, the programs like CASA, and it's the programs that are for kids that have the disease. And then I went back and started talking to the people, and they're telling me, well, this family had a suicide. This family, there's a child now on drugs. So I gained my own research. There's really no numbers written out there.
And CASA, if you're not familiar, is a wonderful organization. It's CASA, and they help foster children essentially in the system, right?
Not just foster children. They help the children and families that are undergoing some legal challenges.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. And, life happens and legal challenges do happen because no one is perfect. And sometimes decisions are made that are not at the best at the time. And so there's organizations like that to help. And
Yeah.
especially when it's for kids, because, kids are learning. And just because they might do something that's not, perfect there's ways to help them and get back on a better path. So I do have a friend who volunteers for CASA. So,
Well, and Make-A-Wish also is awesome in that when I was speaking to them, they really do try to include the other kids in the family, not just the
mhm.
one that's making the wish. They want everybody so that it's inclusive. And they gave me great details on what happens in families too. So
I love that. Now, you mentioned mentorship is the cornerstone of this program. Now, when you have someone, 7 to 18, are they having a adult mentor or another youth mentor? How do you generally structure that? Hi, kitty.
yeah, this is Shadow. Um, yeah. So what I do is I'll take the volunteer and place them with the child that is most prevalent for them to work with. It's mainly adults, but I am now getting some feedback that maybe a same age mentor. Well, I don't train them as well as I do with the adults. So now I'm
Sure.
thinking about creating a training for teenagers.
Yeah, because I think that would be, especially for teens, being with another teen would be really impactful. If you're 7 or 8, you're not going to have a 7 or 8 year old volunteer,
Yeah,
and having an adult who pays attention to them, does special things with them, is a huge thing. It's like the brothers and sisters program,
right.
but I think having, especially for the teens, someone similar age and a high school especially would be super helpful.
Well, and also with me gathering the children every 3 months, they're networking with themselves. I allow them exchange phone numbers and contact because they're both going through it. And so they can help each other through that too. That's the other reason I love to get them together.
So, what kind of activity do you do every 3 months to bring everyone together?
So this year I have planned to go to Bullwinkles, which is like
Yep.
you know what Bullwinkles is.
Mhm.
And we're going to go on a short hike on one day, like at Silver Falls. Bowling has been considered. I want to do things that make the kids interact, not going to movies or something where they're still quiet. So that's those are the things I like to do. So right now, bowling, hiking, and Bullwinkles is on the schedule. I haven't figured out Q4 yet.
And it's important, like you said, to not do it where they're not talking, and something engaging where they're getting off their devices,
Yes.
because that's, so much of life now is spent looking down at our phones and not interacting. So when you're having these sessions, it's super important to keep it engaging. And for those of you who don't know, Bullwinkles is a mini golf, go-kart, arcade, all kinds of fun things. So it's actually fairly close to my house. My son's 11 and that's one of his favorite places. He's like, "Mom, can we go?" I'm like, "Dude, that's like $200 every time." So later on, maybe when it's warmer. Now, in addition to the quarterly support groups, what about one-on-one time? How does that work out?
So I get the volunteer and the families to meet first. And then it's a get to know each other and then to set a schedule. The schedules for, the times they can get together. How is that going to be with whether it's Zoom or in person? And then the agreement whether the volunteer may take the child there's a bunch of agreements before a volunteer even starts working with it so that we get the families interactive into this too. So that's all up to the families, between the families and the volunteer, what they set up. I don't dictate that.
So you are the connector and the rule maker.
Yeah.
And do volunteers, can they apply the same way on the website
Yes.
at
And I am
kicking-cancer.org?
looking for volunteers right now.
Perfect. And do you mainly work in the Salem area and outlying areas right now?
Well, I actually have some people that have just contacted me from California. I'm not sure how I'm going to do that one. I have some friends that like this organization, but we're not in California. I might just get them together
Mhm.
and see how that works. And then Salem, Portland, Vancouver. I'm in
Good.
Albany.
Mhm.
And so this whole I-5 corridor is where I'm working right now.
Got it. So we'll say Portland Metro, etc.
Yes.
So mainly here, and obviously the hope and goal is to continue to grow the program so you would have resources in California and outlying areas because it is so important. And um, are you familiar with Camp Kesem?
No.
So it is an organization. They was started back at Stanford in 2000, I believe. They provide a week of free summer camp for kids whose families have been affected by cancer.
Oh, great. I'll look
So
into that.
they're amazing. My son started going when he was 7. And so I will send you this information because it's something that could I figure the more support we throw at people, the better. And
Oh,
my
I
son,
appreciate that. Thank you so much.
yes, and but I will also continue to talk about the Pathways program because it is just like we're in Portland, there's multiple support organizations and we refer people to other ones for different needs. And but I think your program in particular, the one-on-one aspect of it is so important and the things they can learn from their mentor or just to have time because often when as you know, when someone goes through cancer, it's if there is children in the household, they don't get the same amount of attention, and it's not from lack of wanting, it's lack of ability when a parent or even a sibling is going through cancer.
Right. And what Kicking Cancer is doing right now, we're not just staying within our organization for the children. We're reaching out. Breast Friends and us have
Mhm.
had conversations. American Cancer Society and us and Barron have conversations to refer their children to us because
Definitely.
it's bigger than just us.
Oh,
So
100%. Now, do you ask for them to have experience in cancer in their life, or what is okay, and what do you tell them, like, the main goal for them is when they join the Pathways program?
so they go through some training. I am a communication coach. So I teach them how to speak and in all positives, to listen and get the important stuff out of the child's communication, child or young adult, um, to see where the need is for them because each child is different. And then I train them. We have monthly meetings, trainings. I'm by phone. If something critical comes up, all the volunteers will have my phone number. And it's all contact, it's all communication.
And it might be different for each child what they need,
Yeah.
and also depending on their age. Like some might want to play a board game just one on one, or, the older kids might want to go do something active. Um, if they want to go to do something, whether it's go get a meal or a snack or go to a movie, do you guys provide financial support for those activities?
We have some funding for that too, yes. But we are looking for, we're doing fundraisers.
Hmm.
Barron's awesome in helping us gain some funds for this program. And we're looking at grants at this time.
That's awesome. What kind of feedback have you gotten from families who've gone through this program? Because I imagine it's not the kids giving the feedback. Um, what do their families say to you?
So right now, like I said, COVID put a stop to everything. So
Oh,
we
yeah,
don't
makes sense.
have a whole bunch right now that have my prior coaching when I worked in the legal field, doing the same thing in the legal field.
Hmm.
Um, the kids, I actually got judges telling me those kids are more adult than their parents because I taught them how to communicate, how to um, really say their needs. And that's the whole intent behind this. So that these kids just don't shut down. They know they can talk and they know they can be heard. So,
Well, and that's so important because I mean, as the mother of a preteen, and I have 4 older stepkids who've also all gone through those teen years, and my older stepkids were around when I went through my 2 different diagnoses, and we definitely sat down and we tried to give enough attention to them, but it's hard.
it is.
And they were only with us part-time, but still knowing that, their stepmother who they loved was going through this was really challenging for them. And so we tried to do my husband especially would take them and do like special things because I was tired. I didn't want to do anything else other than treat my cancer and rest. And I had a mom on a support group last night who has 4 children, is still working for full time and going through chemo. And she has severe mom guilt. And oh my gosh, I'm going to send her to you guys as well.
Oh, perfect.
I
Well,
just
and
thought,
I know we've only got a minute left, Michelle, but we had it was really fun. Robin and I were vendors when you guys
oh, we're losing you there, Baron. Sorry.
had luncheon, and we had a great. You guys doing a great job of supporting the moms, but the moms probably have kids, and we, Robin, being a survivor herself, we just want to work really strong alongside you guys because you do your job, support the moms, we'll do our job, support the kids, and the whole family can get through this journey better.
I love that. Well, Baron, we do have another segment, so we're fine. We're going to take a quick break, but listeners, if you again need our services, please go to either kicking-cancer.org or breastfriends.org and to check out what's going on, to volunteer, to donate. And you can reach out to me at Michelle Beck at breastfriends.org. Stay with us. We will be back. Thanks for staying with us. I'm Michelle, and I've got Baron and Robin here from kickingcancer.org. Now, Robin, we've been talking about the Pathways program, but before we jump back into that and Kicking Cancer overall, I wanted to highlight you have on a polo, which in addition to Baron's bright pink t-shirt, your polo has the Kicking Cancer logo on it. And so if anyone is interested, you can go to the website, and I'm imagining there's a shop tab, and you can get your own polo in the appropriate cancer color and personalize with your name. And this also helps provide sponsorship to the organization. So if you can't do a large donation, you can still buy a shirt, and a portion of those proceeds go to Kickin Cancer. So please go do that and support whoever is in your life who has whatever cancer, because it's out there. And I was listening to one of your shows, Baron, and talking about the cancer statistics, which just came out, I think, last week. They're very sobering. And one of the ones that really struck me is by the end of their lives, 1 in 2 people will be diagnosed with some kind of cancer. And it's like,
Yeah.
what the hell is going on? And as Sharon Hennepin said, it definitely has to do with the things we put in our body and around our body. So, my little PSA for the day is eat better and pay attention to the things that you use on your body. And because the cancer rates are rising, not because cancer's pretty darn smart, unfortunately, but also because we don't take good enough care of ourselves sometimes.
Well, in the episode that you are referencing, and again, they can go to Kickin Cancer Cares on any podcast service. The one that you're referencing, the title is called "Drilling In on the Numbers." And again, I'm just finding numbers off from American Cancer's website, but then I like to just put those numbers in perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And globally, 8.8 million people are predicted to get cancer globally. And yet in the United States, it's just a little shy of 2 million. So I thought, well, roughly 20% of the cases are going to come from the United States. What's the population? Mm-hmm. We're only 4% of the world population, accounting for 20% of the cases. And then Sharon, who your co-founder, she said it's thanks to that lovely American diet.
Mm-hmm. Processed foods. I mean, as wonderful and as easy as they are, it's like Satan. And I for February, I am working on no fast food, cutting out carbs and sugar. So I've had one cheat meal last night because we went out and I needed to get out of my house because I've been sick. And boy, I still had a taco salad, but I ate those chips and I had a soda. But that was my one cheat meal.
and I would challenge you just to change a little phraseology, because
Mm-hmm.
people get on a diet, whatever diet they use, and they go, "This is my cheat meal." Well, the word cheat meal kind of makes you feel guilty because I cheated.
True.
And so I say, live your life by the 70-30 rule. If you're trying to live your life 100%, you're going to start hating food. It's just not fun anymore. So if 70% of your diet, of your life, is that good, healthy stuff, leave some room for some fun.
It's so important.
Yeah, you live your life by that 70-30 rule.
And it's not a diet for me, I'm trying to do a lifestyle change because I've had diagnosed with cancer twice, and I have an 11-year-old son. I have a lot of life to live, and I need to be here for him for a long time, and so I'm refocusing on that right now. So, because it's important to take care of our own health, but as your programs do, they really get the family involved or take care of the children. Um, Baron, what has been your greatest blessing from starting this organization?
It was I was actually during that first year, and my wife, she teaches at the police academy, and so I had taken her out there to the academy. She was going to teach a class, and they had this big sign in there, and really every doesn't matter whether you're a sheriff or police, whatever town, everybody in Oregon goes to this academy if you're going to be a police officer, and so their their phrase was one voice, one mission. They were trying to get these police officers thinking the same way, right? And I thought, well, what a great statement. And so the blessing for me really has been meeting you and getting to know Robin, because I realized if nothing changes, if we don't make any changes in our society, 20 years from now, half of America is going to have cancer. 1 in 2 will have cancer. But this is a collective effort. So for
Yes.
me, it really is. It's one voice, one mission, where we work alongside people like Breast Friends, other organizations to collectively turn the tide on this vicious, vicious disease. And the other blessing is, in doing these go teams and getting to know these people and seeing the changes in their lives, and that gal that could barely walk the day of that go team, we had bands lined up, and she got there. Her legs really weren't cooperating very well because of the muscular dystrophy. But then to see look on her face when we handed her $10,000 and paid her house off.
Oh,
And I know Robin can probably attest. We did a go team last year for a 3-year-old boy in Albany who had a brain tumor. Statistically, he should not be alive today
mm,
because of the cancer he had. We organized a fund, we helped facilitate a fundraiser in Albany, and that raised a little over $20,000. And I
oh.
got to watch Robin hand the parents a check so that kid could get to Seattle to our clinical trial. And he's beat it. He's beating this cancer that shouldn't be beatable. I mean, you can't put a dollar amount on those kind of moments.
That is amazing, and it just fills your heart so much, and like you said, we're all in this together. We all have our roles to play in terms of information and support and mentorship, but one thing your organization also does is you have an educational component. Can you talk about that? Mm.
We again quarterly we put together clinics. I actually have a meeting on Monday with the one that's going to be in Vancouver, Washington, on March the 18th, and the title for that one is called "Taking Your Power Back."
Mm.
And we have 4 amazing speakers lined out to come in. That one's a free event. You go up to it, and people can again. If you follow me on Facebook, I'm Baron Robison, and then in parentheses it says Kickin Cancer Guy, and then we put these.
Baron, we might be losing you for a second, but so I'm going to jump in here. And so, listeners, if you are interested in finding this event, I believe you said it was March 18th, you can
Well, but
go.
the purpose for the
Oh,
education piece is to give you the. Oh,
oh,
did I get back?
you're back now. You're in and out, but I was just telling
Did
our
I get
listeners if they're interested in the
okay?
event to go to your Facebook page, which is Baron Robison, Kickin Cancer Guy, and all of those details will be there with a flyer. And I've heard about these events before, and education is so important because there's so much bad information out there. And having a subject like that, like how to take back your power, is really critical because so many people, myself included, when they're diagnosed with cancer or some other traumatic disease, they have no control. And that is the worst feeling. So being able to go through the process and take back that power and the feeling of like, okay, I've got this is amazing. So doing these quarterly programs are wonderful.
And on our website, when they go to educate, we've actually got a resources library. There's shorter little videos you can watch, with everything from food to exercise to how to reduce your stress, you know, how to get better sleep, because all those components are important. And the education piece, quite honestly, if we're actually going to turn a tide on this disease, we've got to start educating 25-year-olds, when they think they're invincible, because guess what? 20 years from now, they're 45. I'm 59, and I'm trying to live that life where I don't get cancer. But if I could find a way to talk to the younger generation,
Mhm.
we can turn a tide on this disease.
Oh, 100%. Education, education, education. Breast Friends just partnered with the Know Your Lemons organization, which gives signs for early detection of breast cancer. So, any program that is out there providing this information, I highly recommend because you can get diagnosed with cancer at any age. Obviously, your chances are higher as you get older. But unfortunately, even with breast cancer, women are getting diagnosed in their early 20s and it's later stage, it's more aggressive. And so we need to educate everyone. I really think honestly starting in high school and with things to look for about your own body, learning to know your own body, no matter what type of cancer. If something feels wrong, say it. Be your own advocate.
Well, and you talk about the younger generation. I recently was listening to a doctor who was talking about breast cancer specifically. And he said, if we truly want to turn the tide on new cases of breast cancer, selenium is something you can buy at any grocery store. Just go to the vitamin section and buy selenium. And if women in their late teens, early 20s, if they started taking a daily dose of selenium, 20 years from now, you would see an 80% reduction in new cases with that one thing alone.
Interesting. I'm not familiar with that. I will have to check it out.
Yeah. But
Uh,
again, if no one tells people this, then we
mhm.
keep doing what we've been doing, and what we're doing is not working.
Yeah. So, Baron, we're almost out of time, couple more minutes, but what are your hopes for Kicking Cancer? Where do you want to take it? If money were no object, what would you do?
We actually have started conversations on how to create communities. So kind of like chapters, but not exactly. And we want to take this thing global. Our social media presence is global. The listeners to our podcast has gone global. But we want little tiny communities, kicking cancer communities all over the world. And then once that community is established, and they've got some momentum going, then Robin could then effectively get pathways in these communities. So, to your question, Kicking Cancer is a global movement, and we want to effectively create communities throughout the whole world.
I love that. Now, Robin, what has been the greatest blessing for you in being able to set up the Pathways program, really based on your own journey?
The greatest blessing for me is seeing this youth really start living their lives and not feeling guilty and taking on all of the heartaches, headaches, shoulder pressure, and stepping out and being the one that may change this world. I just see these youth are our future. And if we're not supporting them through this journey and other journeys, you know, there may not be a hope, but I have great hope with us going in and supporting these kids that they're going to change the world.
I love that. Thank you so much. And thank you for being here today. Again, so Baron, tell our listeners where they can find all of your information, please.
If they want the podcast, just whatever podcast service you use, it's called Kickin Cancer Cares. That's our podcast. I think we're up to like 70 or 75 different podcasts. And then if they want to just go to our website, it's kickin-cancer.org. The Pathways program is underneath support. The GoTo is underneath support. The education resources library is underneath education. They're all there. In our last moments here, I just want to say how fortunate I feel to have met breast friends, to have done that climb for Becky, and to partner with you guys, because you've got the women, they've got the breast cancer, and they have kids, and they need Robin.
Well, thank you both so much for being here today. It has been my pleasure, and I cannot wait to refer more people over there because you are doing the good work. So, listeners, again, you can go to kicking-cancer.org or breastfriends.org to find out more information about what we can all do for you. If you need our services, you can also donate on both of those websites. So please do. If you would like to find past episodes of this podcast, Breast Friends Cancer Support Network, we're on the Voice America Health and Wellness channel, all the major podcast platforms, or you can watch the episodes on the Breast Friends YouTube channel. You can email me at michellebeck@breastfriends.org. You can find me on social media at I Never Liked Pink, and we rise by lifting each other. And we will be back next week. So until then, remember, we rise by lifting each other. Have a great day.